Goddess Barbara has finally returned to me, dude. Yo! I've been waiting so long to see my sexy goddess yet again, and she looks just as beautiful and gorgeous as she always did. Hasn't lost a step, teasing Haruhiro with the innuendo and just completely trolling him, dude. And as soon as I saw that mid-episode eye catch, I was like, could it be? Because she was that eye catch was sexy, dude. That has to go in the thumbnail somewhere, because I was just like, can it be? Are we going to see Barbara? I haven't seen this woman since episode 1. And to finally have her back, dude, to say her first line, just completely teasing the man. He's like, you're looking a bit stiff, Haruhiro. You're looking a bit stiff. Make sure that the only things that are stiff, make sure that only things that are hanging get stiff. I'm just like, yo, Barbara, the innuendo, man. Literally grinding her ass into his crotch as she's training him and fucking. Like, I want her as my master so fucking badly. She can torture me all she fucking wants, dude. If that's part of the training regimen, let's go. Let's fucking go. But just teasing the man, talking about how he's so dull and that's why he can't get a girl. He really is an old cat. And he's like, don't you have women in your party? You gotta make one of them yours. Better yet, it'd be even better if you could get all 3, dude. I'm just like, yo, Barbara is absolutely amazing. That scene was a go. Like, that scene, aside from the Haruhiro x Mary stuff with this episode and the setup with the Cyrene Mines, that scene was the best part of the episode for me, dude. The music that was playing, that beat, that whole track was incredible. We get some little bits of information as far as Haruhiro training this new technique called the spider and everything like that, which is definitely going to be crucial going into the Cyrene Mines. I need to steel myself for the ending of this season, because if we have 3 episodes left, we're going into the Cyrene Mines, where Death Spot resides, the kobold that killed off Mary's party. Shit's gonna get real. But I digress. Before we get into that, let me finish my dialogue about Barbara. That, and I knew he would eventually go there to ask her about the Ryogi Shiki death lines that he was seeing, which, based on Barbara's description, based on what she says about it, how it's basically the more experience you gain, the more likely it is for you to see this. It happens with everyone. It's not some unique skill. And based on the frequency that's happening with Haruhiro compared to her, where she's like, it happens every once in a while, it equates to me as being crits. Just straight up critical hit potential. And for Haruhiro, he's more likely to get crits than others, is basically what they're saying. So I don't know what that says about him inherently. Kind of looking at things through an MMO lens and everything like that, you could say that he has certain stats that apply to this. Maybe luck, maybe hit accuracy. Regardless of what it is, he is more likely to get critical hits. That's basically what it boils down to. And I was wondering what these ley lines were, these Ryogi Shiki death lines that he was seeing, and I was really curious to finally get that explanation. So to see that here, it really does make a lot of sense. It's definitely going to be crucial going forward, as is this technique, the spider that he's learning. But I just love seeing Barbara back, dude. The innuendo, the comedy, just the training regimen is so fucking sexy and real at the same time. I would love her to be my sensei. But I digress. Hai Totenso no Grimgar episode 9. First half of the episode, extremely calm. And before I get into anything, let me say this before I completely forget about it. Did anybody else catch at the end of the episode preview, post credits, that eye catch with the goblins, and you see one of them straight up daydreaming about my girl Yume? Yo, I'm like, even the goblins are smitten by that ass, dude. I mean, granted, they haven't seen Barbara, but Yume's ass is top tier. I am in love with Yume, even though Mary has somewhat surpassed her for me personally, as far as Haruhiro's OTP is concerned. As far as my best girl, they're still pretty much tied. I will say that they're still pretty much tied between Yume and Mary. But aside from that, I thought that post-credits eye catch was hilarious. But that's the first half of the episode, just so calm and relaxing, continuing to build up the relationships and the bonds between each character and their whole dynamics, showcasing, where they're at this stage after the entirety of the whole arc that just transpired, and, the first 8 episodes of the series, really focusing on that first arc with Domino and Manato's death, and the party really, beginning to synergize and work together, / getting to know Mary and bringing her in as one of their true nakama. But I really like the introduction portion of this episode, the insert song, another no-name greatness track. It's so, I cannot wait to get my hands on this OST, man. It's gonna be so fucking good. I'm gonna play it every single day. I'm gonna be bumping it hard. It's gonna be amazing. But just little things with this first half of this episode, like the scene between, you know, Moguzo and Haruhiro at the beginning. You know, he's making breakfast. They kind of have this dialogue. It's very straightforward, very nice dialogue. To see the scene between Chihiro and Haruhiro, where they basically meet at that spot where they all watch the sunset together, and, you know, they're basically talking about that. Chihiro's like, I'm looking forward to continue working with you and everything like that, and just kind of getting them as individuals and as two people, you know, closer together as well, as you know, in light of the whole group really deepening their bonds as a whole. You know, Ranta chilling and just fishing out on the water, and he catches a glimpse of Yume, who's mountain climbing and whatnot off in the distance, and he seems pretty smitten and mesmerized by that sight, dude. I'm just like, yo, my boy. Ever since the Yume X HARUHIRO OTP, you know, has the ship crashed and burned because of Mary's introduction, I've seen a new ship starting to be constructed between Ranta and Yume, and I know Ranta's had the feels for her since the very beginning. It's been obvious, especially with the way he's treated and teased her and everything like that because of his immaturity and whatnot. But that's the story for another day. You know, Moguzo whittling and whatnot, as he always does, and just chilling. It was just a very calm scene, especially with the music. But the biggest thing with that first half, and which trickled into the second half with the setup and build-up of the party, you know, venturing into the Cyrene Mines, is the scenes, you know, are the scenes between Haruhiro and Mary, which I love seeing scenes between these two characters, man. Like, it's just 100% OTP for me. I never, as soon as it came to fruition and came into existence, I never questioned it, not once, because it felt so right. I absolutely love Mary. I think that, you know, they're both easily, the feels keep growing and growing between them. You know, I thought it was cool how they had Haruhiro following that little creature, and it somehow led him to Mary. Just some sense of coincidence, but on the same token, you know, destiny in a sense. And I love the scene where they're talking, you know, she's talking about her lodgings, kind of reminiscing of when she lived where they lived, and thinking about her old party yet again. Haruhiro catching a glimpse of those legs and them thighs, dude, because she's fucking sexy, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Mary has this charm about her that's absolutely amazing. But the biggest thing between them in this episode that continues the OTP greatness is in the second half, where he chases after her from the tavern after, you know, the whole thing, which I can't believe he was so careless with it in the first half, that it really truly didn't occur to him what he was saying until after the fact. And that's the thing about this episode. Before I get into that scene in particular, though, I want to talk about Kikawa and the fact and the whole reason that the party is progressing to, you know, the Cyrene Mines and leaving Dahmer in the first place. Because at first, when Kikawa was going into this dialogue, which I really like the character, I said it since his introduction, this kind of carefree, just ridiculous, eccentric spirit, I really like him. But when he was talking, you know, saying rookies as Kirus and goblins as Lingobs and whatnot, just kind of distorting the conversation, I'm like, what is he really talking about right here? It took Mary and Haruhiro to kind of clarify and be like, so these goblins from the new city, especially that party that they fought in the end, you know, are these goblins trickling into Domino from this new city, and they're of a whole different tier and caliber of the goblins they were dealing with before. They've been murking rookies in Domino, and it's not really safe for them to go back there at this stage, is what that whole dialogue really meant. And for Haruhiro, though, to transition straight into Cyrene Mines in that conversation, and that's the thing about this episode that solidified something with the series that I've always loved. Aside from the formal aspects, the art, the animation, just how clean and sexy and beautiful and pristine everything looks, the attention to detail with character dynamics, with, you know, the dialogue, and especially their expressions and body movements, like Mary's body movements in this episode, just seeing her, the heavy breathing as she gets up from the table, everybody talking about going to the Cyrene Mines, and they even reference Death Spot in the conversation, and yet it still didn't occur to the man the effect that this was going to have on her. And as soon as he realizes, he chases her down, and I love how they show him like kind of tripping over himself as he gets up and whatnot, how he runs after her. But the scene between them was so endearing and beautiful, dude. Just seeing the dialogue and how Mary's basically like, I know I need to move forward, but I don't think I can. This is something I've been avoiding. I can't face it, but, you know, if it's you guys, if I can borrow and you can lend me your strength, you know, that would make me eternally happy, and I think I'll be able to move forward because you called me your Nakama, dude. And then seeing Haruhiro tear up and say it was tears of joy and everything like that, and how she thanks him. You see her clasp her hands behind her, just the subtle body movements and expressions, dude, that just read into it, and you can see so much and really see the bond between these two characters, especially growing quite strong, and the feelings for, you know, between one another respectively, growing really strong at this stage, is amazing to see. But we're now going into the Cyrene Mines, dude, is not going to be any joke. It really isn't going to be any joke. I feel as though I'm going to have to steal my resolve yet again, and we could potentially lose somebody in these last 3 episodes of the season, because Despot murked her entire party, the prior party. You don't see many people, the whole description of it, and I love the aesthetic and the look of the Cyrene Mines, the art style, and just the color palettes and how it looked when they're showcasing the mountain overpass and everything. I was just like, yo, this is going to be, and it just gave me this kind of eerie vibe at the same time. I was like, this is going to be real. But when they were giving the whole little backstory about how the No-Life King sent the kobolds in there to get rid of all the humans that were occupying Cyrene Mines, and now all the kobolds live in there, they know Despot is in there, this fiendish one that's murked everyone. Some shit's gonna go down. Some shit's gonna go down in here, and I really hope they've progressed to a point where they can deal with it, but I'm scared. I truly am scared right now for what we could be facing in the Cyrene Mines. But at the same time, I'm hype as fuck to finally be leaving this whole goblin slaying thing behind and get into some battles with some other creatures and some other monsters and everything like that. And something that occurred to me during this episode that I never really thought about before, and I'm sure it is gonna happen sometime down the road, going forward, when I as soon as the season ends, when I get into the light novels, because I'm not waiting, I'm sorry, I'm going straight to the light novels, but I don't want to be spoiled right now. But something occurred to me, I'm like, is there going to ever be any conflict between humans? Like, thinking about this in terms of a game, being trapped in a game, even though it doesn't really have that vibe to it, and we have no real proof of what exactly is happening here and how they got to this world, where this world really exists, if it's a game, if it's alternate dimension / fantasy world. But are there going to be PKs? Like, are there going to be player killers? Is there going to be conflict between individual humans? Because all we've seen is this kind of volunteer soldier guild established and everything like that, these different quests, the battles with the monsters, but we've never really seen any sort of antagonistic figure that is a human being up to this point. And we've heard about the No-Life King and everything like that, but I was just curious about that and to see, what happens going forward. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see what happens when we get into the Cyrene Mines. I'm hyped, but I'm apprehensive at the same time, because I feel as though that there's some more tragedy awaiting us in the series, and I'm not ready if that's going to be the case. So let me know your thoughts on this episode. I'm still so happy I got to see my goddess Barbara, and I'm out. Peace.